interesting webinar session organized by AIMRI. Today's webinar is focused on youth and job aspirants, and the topic is Make Your Basics Right and Get Ready for the New Normal. To take you through the tips and tricks, we have with us a very seasoned professional and an empathic consultant or teacher who has been an undeterred source of inspiration to many learners and aspirants alike. He is a PhD holder in industrial social work and has to his credit around 20 years of experience in organizational behavior and HR practices, yet surging forward with an openness to learn, innovate, and motivate. Currently, he serves as the director of COEX Academy and Research Center and Sastra Life Foundation, an HR advisor of Iran Scientific Solutions, inventor of e-toilets in India. He has an inbuilt passion towards initiating, revamping, and redesigning programs in HRM and has proven background in designing and implementing successful curriculum programs in HRM for management students. He is presently one of the member of APJ Abdul Kalam Technological University. He is presently one of the member of APJ Abdul Kalam Technological University syllabus and curriculum committee of MBA course in the state of Kerala. For the last 15 years, he is an established external professor in various universities. He has also contributed several publications to ISSN Journal, which are approved by UGC. He is also known as YouTube speaker in Kerala's leading online health platform, Ethnic Health Court. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Ajith Sankar to the webinar. Thank you, Dr. Ajith, for being with us today. Request you to please take over the session.
Thank you so much, Ms. Neha. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I think there are many participants who are joining for this webinar. Wish all of you a warm good evening and a very happy New Year 2021. So, as the title suggested, the webinar's name is Make Your Basics Right and Get Ready for the New Normal. And this is, first of all, I should appreciate the initiative of AIMRI under Aries Group, led by a visionary leader, Sri Sohan Roy. These kind of initiatives definitely will enhance the confidence of youth and job aspirants. So, in the next maybe 45-50 minutes, I'm going to share my experience as a teacher, experience as a corporate practitioner with you. Many of you may be senior school students, college students, or working professionals. So, based on what I am sharing, I request you to think about how you're going now and utilize some of these inputs in your life. So when we think about make your basics right and get ready for the new normal, I got a chance to address more than 1,000 students under Kerala University in the last 2-3 months through various webinars. This was a webinar based on employability skills. And there were many interactions, many questions. So based on that questions, I thought that during this interaction, I would share some of that experiences and question answers with you so that it will be helpful to you. Definitely towards the end, if you have any questions, you can put in the chat box or ask, or maybe I will provide my email ID so that you can ask questions or queries for my help. Fine. So the first question, when we think about this 2021, we just passed a tough year of 2020. So the students used to ask me, sir, what is the biggest change that happened in 2020? That is a question. Definitely, we all want to change. That is the reason why we are here for this kind of interactions. Change is actually, it is the only constant thing in the world. Change is only the permanent thing in the world. When we think about change, no one should know that it is not the wisest, it is not the strongest, it is those who are going to change will survive in this world. So that is the significance of change. So when we think about 2020, it is a tough year. A micro virus attacked the entire world. It was a year of crisis. It was a year of difficulty. It was a year of losing jobs. It was a year of sitting in closed homes. There were a lot of difficulties. But when I think about change, when we think about change, there are two types of change. One is known as the unplanned change. The other one is known as the planned change. What is the difference between an unplanned change and a planned change? Unplanned change is something that you're not planned or do not have any specific goal for that change. But planned change means it is a change that is goal-oriented. So in 2020, the change that we felt is something unplanned. But at the same time, we are going through a planned change also. What is that? when we think about a planned change, when we think about the educational context or a workplace context, we are actually coming through various industrial revolutions. The first industrial revolution during the 18th century, it brought factories, it brought various steam engines. Then we think about the second industrial revolutions towards the beginning of the 20th century. There were diesel, petrol, electricity. Then the third industrial revolution, which brought electronics and telecommunications. Then came the fourth industrial revolution, which was mainly focused on technology. And we are actually going through that industrial revolution at the moment. We are on the way to fourth to fifth. That is what I said, the planned change, the influence of technology in life. That is the fourth industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution is also known as the digital revolution. Now you see, everywhere there is technology. We are interacting because of technology. Now, whatever happening in our home, there is a technological element. In our learning, there is a technological element. At workplace, there is a technological element. So when we think about 2020, we think about crisis, we think about all these negatives, but there were positives too. Because of this unplanned change that came in 2020, it helped to facilitate the planned change, that is the smooth transformation of technology. Now we're familiar with the technology. We never thought of using this Zoom or a Google Meet or a Webex in 2019. Now 2020, we all started using that. Now it is very part and parcel of our life. That is what I said. In 2020, there were an unplanned change in the form of a virus attack, but that unplanned change facilitated for the smooth transition of the planned change in the form of a digital revolution. So now, from 2021, when we think about how to move forward, how to restart, people think that now we need to accelerate. Yes, in 2020, it was a tough year. It was a year of crisis. It was a year of pandemic. I will say that 2021 should be in our mindset, because I'm basically a psychologist, so I will use the term mind several times. So in our mind, we should focus 2021 as a year of resilience. It is a year of acceleration. It should be a year of resilience, and it should be a year of acceleration. So when we think about acceleration and resilience, we should think about the positives of 2020. There was a lot of negatives happened in 2020 because of virus attack, but virus is not attacked just you or me. 8 billion people in the world, in fact, 800 billion people in the world suffered this, isn't it? So it is not something that happened to us. It is something happened in the form of a universalization. So there were a lot of opportunities happened in 2020 in the form, we got opportunities to get close with our family members, we got opportunity to get more patience, we got opportunities to get familiarized with the technology. So there were a lot of positives happened in 2020. So we should take that positives and then take 2021 as a year of acceleration and a year of resilience. So that should be the change. So when people ask me about the change should be done by us. There is no one to come and make changes in our life. You should not think that world is an utopian world. World is a real world, and that real world should be changed by us. No one will come and change for us. So that is the change. So when we think about moving forward, there is a chance that people rush and go for advanced skills. But I'll say that as a person who has recruited more than 2,000 people in my life, my humble request is, before going for these advanced skills and advanced certification, first make your foundation right, make your basics right, and then get ready for the new normal. That is what I want to talk about in this webinar of this 1 hour. So make your basics right and then get ready for the new normal. So there is immense opportunities. There are factories, workstations, everything is getting open. Schools and colleges are gradually getting open. They're coming back to the new normal. And as I said, it should be a year of acceleration and it should be a year of resilience. So now, what is acceleration? What is resilience? We'll think about that and we'll discuss about that. But when we think about the opportunity, there are plenty of opportunities in the career field. But before we go for the opportunities, we should think about the various generations currently operating in the workplace. Do you know that there are various generations at workplace? When we think about that, to make it more specific, there are mainly 3 generations at workplace. We can call it as Generation X, Generation Y, and Generation Z. Generation X, Generation Y, and Generation Z. These are the 3 main generations in a workplace. So who are they? Generation X. First, we discuss about Generation X. For information I'm sharing, Generation X are the people who born between 1960 to 1979. So these are the people between the age of 40 to 60 at the moment. Then there is a Generation Y between 19 who were born between 1980 to 1995. That is known as Generation Y. Then there are people who born after 1995. They are known as Generation Z. These are the three main generations in a workplace. So there are peculiarities, there are characteristics about each of these generations. For the information I'm saying, because I'm working with all three generations. Generation X is the senior most generation between 40 and 60. We'll say that these people are generally traditional, slightly compared to other generations, and they work hard. And once they get into a job, they would like to continue in that job for 30, 40 years, and they would like to preserve money for their next generation. They may not be so much flexible or very proactive. I will not say that. So that is the peculiarity of Generation X. Then we think about Generation Y, people born between 1980 to 1995. They're slightly more open-minded, and instead of sticking on to one job, after some time they would like to do something of their own. So people come to entrepreneurship, people come to business, a lot of people travel a lot. So this is called Generation Y. Then comes the third generation, that is known as Generation Z. People maybe in and around 25 years of age, and that is the peculiarity of this generation is they are more innovative, more independent, and they enjoy freedom. So they want more independence and more freedom, but they're very good in using technology. So these are the three generations in the workplace. So when you go and work somewhere in a work environment, you have to adjust with the other two generations. So there is an element of conflict. That is what I said. Before going for the advanced, we need to know the basics, because no work environment want nerds. Have you heard the term nerds? NERDS means people with high intelligence, but they don't know how to behave with others. Especially when you work with seniors, more than the rational or the functional qualities, it is the emotional qualities that matters a lot. That is what, along with the intelligence, we need to polish our the behavioral qualities also to adjust with different kind of people in different age groups. So these are the three generations in the workplace: Generation X, Generation Y, and Generation Z. So you have to adjust with these people. So as I said, there is change, and there is a smooth transmission of an unplanned change facilitated a smooth transition of a planned change. There are opportunities, and there are different generations at workplace. And now, maybe if you are around 17 years, 18 years, 20 years, you may be thinking about a job or maybe a career. So people ask me, what is the difference between a job and a career? So if based on my experience, I'm saying that if you're thinking long term, you can call it as a career. But if you're thinking about a short term, then you can call it as a job. Doing specific tasks for a particular revenue is called job. But if you're thinking about getting into a profession and continuing it for 30, 40 years, you can call it as a career. That is the difference between a job and a career. Career is a term which originated from a Latin word called caris, means it is the course of life. It is a journey which starts at an younger age and it goes up to 60 years of age. Normally the retirement age is 60, isn't it? So people, there are students who used to ask me, sir, when should we plan a career? Maybe during our first job or a second job, we should think about a career. I'll say that it is before you get into a job, you should plan your career. So what is that? Imagine after 10th, there are younger students are there. After 10, you may go for a specialization. It may be max or a biomax or a humanity or a commerce, whatever it is. That means you're going to specialize a subject. For the what? Because you are thinking about the future. You want to be a doctor or an engineer or an accountant or a psychologist, whatever maybe. That is the reason why you're going to specialize. Then after +2, you may take a specific subject for a graduation. Again, you are coming to more specificity. Then you go for a PG, again you take a subject, again in-depth specialization happens. So I will say that when at the time of taking a specialization, your career starts at that time. I'll say that maybe at the age of 17, knowingly or unknowingly, your career starts, because whatever be the specialization you are taking at the age of 17 or during your +1, that may lead to a profession. That is the biggest thing. Many people say that it may not be true, sir. After +2, I may take a subject. After degree, I may take another subject. Then I may go for another subject. But for a continuation, I will say that if there is smooth transition into a career, If you take a specialization in +1, then continuation of that into a degree, then continuation of that into PG, then continuation of that into a particular job, which will lead to a long career. So people say that may not be possible. I may go for a bank job, I may go for a government job. No problem. My psychology professor used to advise me because I did my graduation in psychology. So he told me that after graduation and post-graduation, you may not be a psychologist. You may do some other job. But whatever job that you do, sell psychology in that. That is what I want to say. Whatever specialization you're taking on, whatever be your graduation or post-graduation, you may do some other job. But sell what you have learned in that graduation and post-graduation in your job. So learn to sell what you have learned. That is the best thing when you think about a career. So people used to say that we should do some job that we get. It's not true. We should do a job that we like. That is the difference between. So normally all people will not get a job that you like. Okay. But some people may get a job that you like. Some people get a job that you may not like. Gradually, you have to learn to like your job. Because if you are not liking your job, you cannot sustain there for more than 6 months. So there is a famous quote, do whatever you like rather than what you get. So first of all, when you are a school student, when you take a specialization for a +1, then think about what you like. Then if you are taking a subject for a graduation, think about what you like. Then in post-graduation, think about what you like. Then go for a job, think about what you like. So there is a likeness element in that, then automatically, proactively, you will work. That is the difference between what you like and what you get. So that is what I told, job and career. That is the difference between a job and a career. Job is short-term, career is long-term. So what is a career? There are people in their resumes used to write career with a spelling mistake, CARRIER, that we used to see in the autos. It is not career. Career spelling is CAREER. So what is a career? That is the best thing that you need to keep in mind. The most significant concept for people who want to enter into a profession. What is career? I told you, it is a journey. It is a course of life that starts at the age of 17, knowingly or unknowingly starts at the age of 17 and goes up to the age of 60. That is known as career. So there are 5 elements that influence a career of an individual. When you learn also that 5 elements will influence. So I'm going to talk about that 5 elements, the 5 elements that influence you. Do you want to know that? The 5 elements are, number 1, the first element is aptitude. The second element is interest. The third element is personality. The fourth element is skill. And the last element is surrounding. So these are the 5 elements that influence you in your studies and also in your job. I'll repeat it. The 5 elements are aptitude, interest, skills, personality, and surroundings. So what are they? I'll brief about these 5 elements so that you can think about yourself. The first and foremost is called aptitude. You all heard about this aptitude. Whenever you apply for a job, government or a private, the first round of a selection is normally aptitude test. You write that aptitude test, isn't it? Aptitude means it is actually something of natural or inherent abilities. Natural or inherent abilities. That is what we say aptitude. But some of the traits you learn from your surroundings with your experience with others too. But generally, aptitude is inherited or inborn. There are different types of aptitude. Generally, we check during the time of a selection. So just think about it, the different types of aptitudes. Some of the common aptitudes are, number 1 is called the linguistic aptitude. So if you want to know whether you have the linguistic aptitude, just think about linguistic aptitude people or people with linguistic aptitude. They're very good in using more words, more sentences. They're very good in speaking multi-languages. So if you are in that category, then make sure that you have some kind of linguistic aptitude. Then the other aptitude generally people or the HR people used to check is called the STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematical aptitude. That is a second type of aptitude that generally we used to check. Then there is a third type of aptitude called the mechanical aptitude. So if you have a habit of joining things or inspecting things or going in depth to the materials and instruments, make sure that you have some element of mechanical aptitude in you. Then comes the logical aptitude. Logical aptitude means whatever things comes in front of you, whatever problems comes in front of you, if you are thinking about a practical solution to that, then you can assure that there is an element of logical aptitude in you. Then comes the creative aptitude. Creative aptitude means think out of the box, that doing something that others don't do. For example, writing an examination. So others will write the examination, write the answers properly, but you, along with writing the answers, you draw a diagram. Even though the question is not asked for the diagram, you draw a diagram. That is called something creative, something think out of the box. So if you have that tendency in your studies or in your job, you can make sure that there is a creative aptitude element in you. Then comes the organizational aptitude. If you have a habit of going and interacting with people, coordinating things, organizing things, then you can make sure that you have organizational aptitude. So these are some of the aptitudes that we check for various jobs. Various jobs. Okay, depends on the jobs also. So just think about these kinds of aptitude and think whether I have some elements of this aptitude. Number one is linguistic, second one is STEM, third one is mechanical, fourth one is logical, fifth one is creative, and the last one is the organizational aptitude. So this is aptitude, something that we get inborn or inherited qualities. That is called the aptitude, the first element that decides your career. The second element is interest. Some people may have very good aptitude, maybe very good while writing examination, but they don't have any interest in their studies. Or some people may in very high positions where they may have very good job titles, but they are not at all interested in their job. The second element that will influence a career, that is called the interest. So if you have no interest in your job, then you cannot survive in your job. The second element. So make sure that you like something that you are doing at the moment. The second thing, so the subject that you are studying at the moment, the job that you are doing at the moment, you should like that. That is the second element called the interest. Then comes the third one called the personality. Whether your personality is matching what you are studying or what you are doing. When we think about personality, there are different kinds of personalities are there. But maybe I'll brief about three types of people in every work environment in terms of personality. We can classify them into three. One is extrovert, the other one is ambivert, the third one is introvert. The first called the extrovert means they're very social. They go and speak to strangers. They travel anywhere. These kind of people are known as extroverts. Ambiverts, they do not jump in creating relationship with strangers, but they're very good in maintaining relationship, and they're very disciplined too. That is known as ambiverts. Then comes the third one called the introverts. Introverts are, they're more analytical. They're having very high thinking ability, but they are not very much linguistic, or they do not go and mingle with people. They're more of having thinking habit. They are known as introverts. So extroverts, ambiverts, and the introverts. So if a job you get that should match with your personality. Suppose a public relation officer, you got a public relation officer post and you are an introvert. I won't say you will survive there, because if you do not have a trait to mingle with people, if you do not have a trait to get relationship and maintain relationship with people, it is very, very, very difficult to survive in that. That is a third element called the personality. So first element is aptitude. The second element is called the interest. The third element is called the personality. The fourth element is called the skills. That is the most important term nowadays we are using. We heard the term Skill India. We heard the term the organization called National Skill Development Organization. So when we think about skill in a job or maybe in your life, there are mainly two types of skills. One is known as the hard skills. The other one is known as the soft skills. What do you mean by hard skills? Hard skills are the occupational traits required for doing a job. Soft skills are the personality traits required for doing a job. For example, a receptionist who is working in an organization should be very good in using computers, maybe very good in using portals for travel booking portals, Excel sheets, PowerPoints, Words. She should be very good in that. That they are known as occupational traits. They are known as hard skills. At the same time, the receptionist should be very enterprising, very pleasant. She should have very good language. She should have emotional control. That is known as the personality traits, which is called the soft skills. So we can classify skills into two: hard skills and soft skills. So this is the fourth element. So aptitude, interest, personality, and skills. Then comes the fifth element, that is called the surrounding. If your surrounding is not proper, whatever you have, you may not succeed in your career or maybe in your family also, because your surroundings helps a lot. The influence of surroundings. Suppose if you want to go and work in Middle East, or maybe you want to work in US, but if your family circumstances are preventing you from traveling, then you have to curb your interest levels, and then you have to return to your native and do something there and survive, isn't it? So surroundings, in fact, influence you a lot. So these are the 5 elements that knowingly or unknowingly, I use the term knowingly or unknowingly, influence you a lot. The 5 elements that influence you in your job, in your career, and maybe in your personal life. The 5 elements are aptitude, interest, personality, skill, and surroundings. These are the 5 elements that influence your career. Hope you have understood these 5 elements and think about these 5 elements. And there are many free career assessment tests available. Maybe if you want an example, I can say RAISAC is a free, RAISAC is a free career assessment test. Maybe you can check this career assessment test and do free of cost. So you will come to know where you stand. So this is about the career. The first step when you think about a career, you need to think about these 5 elements. The 5 elements, I will repeat it. These are aptitude, interest, personality, skills, and surroundings. So now, coming back to a particular point in these 5 elements called the skills. We are all worried about competition and competence. So yesterday I read about a statement by Rahul Dravid. He is known as the war in Indian cricket. According to Rahul Dravid, he says that there is no point in competing with others. At the end of the day, it is your journey. So try your level best to make it better, isn't it? So there is no point in competing with others. That is the point that Rahul Dravid is making. And I also echo that. There is no point in competing with others. You have to compete with yourself and you have to make you compete. So when we think about competence, there are 3 elements that influence and check whether a person is competent or not. The 3 elements are: number 1, knowledge; number 2, skill; and the third one is attitude. Knowledge, skill, and attitude. Knowledge, skill, and attitude, isn't it? So if you ask me how much mark I will give out of 100 for these 3 elements, maybe I'll give 20 marks for knowledge, I'll give another 30 for skills, but 50% I will give for attitude. Once I got a chance to sit in a conference where Infosys founder Sri Narayana Murthy had a talk. He mentioned that whatever be the knowledge level, whatever be the skill level, the person do have the adaptability and a positive approach and positive attitude, we should give them a chance. So out of these 3 factors which contributes to competence, the knowledge, skill, and attitude, I'll give high mark for attitude. How this attitude can be revealed or could be revealed? It could be revealed as an interviewer. I can sense the attitude, the way that you enter into an interview room, the way you sit, the way you express. Each of these actions will reveal your attitude. The way you put your hands, the way you put your leg. If you are putting one leg over your other, it is called the dominance. And suppose if you are speaking to someone and gradually you're crossing your legs, this is like something like that. This what message it conveys. Crossing legs means you're getting defensive. You're not interested in what others say or the other person is saying. These are small elements that reveals your attitude. So competence is a term which is constituted by 3 elements: knowledge, skill, and attitude. Isn't it? Knowledge is the facts and figures you possess. Skill is your ability to express knowledge, and attitude is your approach towards a person, your approach towards a task. So these 3 elements together constitute the term called competence. So students used to ask me, when we think about job, when we think about higher studies, now we are in 2020 to 21. So how should we change? As I told you, this is a digital revolution. So mainly there are 3 kinds of jobs that will survive. Number 1, technological jobs, because technological element will be everywhere. Whether you are an engineer or a doctor or a psychologist or an accountant, CA or a CS, whoever you are, there is a technological element in that. So technology will survive. Number 1 will be for technology. Second one will be for the human touch jobs. We call it as human touch. There will be counseling, psychology, sociology, social work. These elements will have huge significance in the coming years. That is, so first is technological job. The second one is called the human touch jobs. The third one definitely it is the finance, or we call it fintech. There is an element of technology there also. Fintech, so commercial and accountants, chartered accountants, company secretaries, CPAs, CFAs, they do have high scope in the coming years. So technological element and the human touch element. These elements do have high significance in the coming years. So when we think about a job, when we think about a career, we need to sharpen our skills, isn't it? So maybe in the next some time, I'll think about I'll talk about the 21st century skills and how to attend an interview and how to make a profile. These are the three elements that I want to stress if you are planning to apply for higher studies, if you're planning to apply for a job, or if you're planning to change your job. So the first and foremost, there are students used to ask me, which are the 21st century skills? There are n number of skills. We call it as hard skills, soft skills, the personality element. So how to succeed, how to survive in this element. So I used to tell them that if you want to survive, there should be two elements that you should cope up with. Capability and capability are the two determinants of your success. Capability and capability. Capability means your ability. Capability means your ability to cope up with different situations. So these are the two things, capability and capability. So capability and capability. So when students used to ask me, which are the major 21st century skills, there are many, n number, as I told you. But if you ask me, I'll say that you have to sharpen three skills. Number one, communication. Number two, it is the adaptability, and number three, it is the numerical skills or the numeracy. We call it as numeracy. These are the three skills, 21st century skills, that will make you survive, that will make you succeed. I'll pinpoint about each one of that. Number one is called communication. Communication, it is again originated from a Latin word called commune, which means whatever I am telling, you should understand. Whatever you are telling, I should understand. So in a work environment, there are mainly 5 types of communication which influence. Number one, verbal communication. Number two, body language or non-verbal communication. Number three, listening. Number four, observation. And number five, written communication. So when we think about communication, it is not just the language, English or Malayalam. These are the 5 communication elements that decides your fate. Verbal communication, non-verbal communication, listening, observation, and written communication are the 5 types of communication. I will brief about each of these. First is the verbal communication. Verbal communication means your ability to, as I said earlier, linguistic aptitude, your ability to use language, your ability to use words, your ability to use sentences. So it is better that you learn multiple languages. So normally in India, if you come for an interview, we generally check for your awareness of 3 languages. One is the international language, English. Second is the national language, Hindi. And the third one is your regional or local language, wherever you are. So these 3 languages are must, but maximum languages you can acquire, that will be a value add for you. Suppose if a person comes up with 10 number of certification and then another person comes up with 5 languages, if you ask me to select a person, I will select a person who knows 5 languages rather than having multiple certifications. So that is the significance of a language. So when we think about verbal communication, English, definitely it is a language with influence, especially for Kerala Malayalis. There is some kind of hindrance in using English. We call it, as students used to call this English as a terrorist language, or we call it as it is a language of elite class. Then cattle class, we cannot speak English. These things that they say that. And someone speaks English, then they comes up with jokes like Saipa, Madama, these things they used to call. But seriously speaking, English is thing that you have to orient, because if you want to work globally, if you want to work in a cross-cultural environment, English is the one language that you have to master. And if you have a need for a job, if you have a need for survival, naturally you will learn the language English. In Kovalam, in Trivandrum, in Kovalam, there are elder women who used to sit on beach side and they sell these nuts to foreign people. And they say they speak English, but they are not worried about grammar, but they speak very good English because it is a matter of survival for them. It is a matter of need for them. So if you have a matter of need, you will learn English rather than worrying about others, these kind of jokes. So when we think about learning English, there are 2 kinds of exercise that I recommend for students. One is called the mirror reflection exercise. That is called that you don't need anyone's help. You can stand in front of a mirror, then speak about something, speak about yourself, or speak about something that you like, and then record that in the mobile. So that through mirror you can see your body language, and through mobile you can listen your tone, your voice, and the sentence flow, everything. And gradually you can correct. So without anyone's help, without anyone's influence, you can improve your language, especially English language, through a mirror reflection exercise. And if you have close friends, you can start a WhatsApp group and then start chatting good things rather than bad things in proper language, in proper sentences. You will learn English. Okay, so English is in an international language. It is a must for you. So verbal is the first one in that communication. So verbal English is a must. So don't worry about people's comments, negative comments and bad comments. Go. If you have a need for that, you will learn English. That is verbal communication. Then the second one is called the body language. When we think about body language, I used to use a term called chef, C-H-E-F. It is not hotel chef, it is C-H-E-F. Each letter signifies a body part. C means what? People used to say C for chest. That means if you are entering into an interview room, you cannot go like this. C means cheek, cheek. So if your cheeks are energetic, you will give a pleasant atmosphere in an interview room. You will create an easy rapport with the interviewers or with anybody you are interacting. So the first one is called cheek. Your cheek should be energetic. That is the number one. Out of chef, C for cheek. Then comes the H called hand. Hand means there are different types of handshakes. There is no universal standard for giving a handshake. But if you listen to foreign channels or if you observe across the world, there are many types of handshakes. But one example maybe I can show you is that, for example, if you are giving a handshake with people of the same sex, then your 5 fingers should be strong enough. It shows warmth and friendship. And if you are giving a handshake to an opposite sex, 5 fingers should be touched, but it should be relatively soft because it is more of a care and respect. This is one difference. Even though there are many forms of handshake, this is one form of handshake that you can understand. And when you get a job or when you are in a multicultural environment, you may have to give handshakes. So that is H for hand, so C for cheek, H for hand, and then comes E. E means eyes, eye contacts. So this is something peculiar, and this is something I used to see a lot among students and job seekers. Suppose if you are sitting in an interview, people use different kinds of eye movements. Some people, even if we ask their name, they will use their eyes like this. Sir, my name is Ajith. They come and with bulging eyes and say that my name is this. This is called exclamatory eye movement. Then some people, whatever we say, they say that, yes, what is your opinion about your college? Yeah, the college is very good. That is what you're saying, but your eyes are saying that your college is very bad. So this is the second type of eye movement. And the third one is your eyebrows are slightly up, and then when you speak, your head go like the vertical movement for 3 times. These are the 3 types of eye movements. So the first one, that is called the exclamatory eye movement. This I will not recommend in normal conversation. Exclamatory eye movement you should use when you listen to something new or when you express something innovative or new to a set of people or interviewers or persons sitting in front of you. That is called exclamatory eye movement. This is called suspicious eye movement. Even if you're saying something positive, this eye contact will give a negative message to the person sitting opposite to you. This is called suspicious eye movement that I will not recommend this kind of eye contact. Then the third one, this is a proper one. And when you listen to a person, your head should go like this vertically. Malayalis or maybe South Indians, generally they have a tendency to go use their head in 3 ways. One movement is like this. Yes, sir. Whatever you are saying, I will try to do that. Yes, sir. Whatever you say, nothing will happen. Then there is a third movement. I don't know, sir. If you say something, I will try. This is confused head movement. So this is vertical, this is horizontal, and this is confused. Which is the right one? It should be the vertical. Vertical head movement for maximum 3 times. So when you are listening to someone, when you are accepting someone's point, go for a vertical head movement with an open eyes for 3 times. So C for cheek, H for hand, E for eyes, and then F is the friendly facial expressions. Friendly facial expressions means the smile. Smile is the universal language. So even if the person who don't know the language that you are speaking, if you smile, he sends something positive, and then it is easy for building a rapport between the person. So when we think about non-verbal communication or a body language, always think about this term called CHEF, C-H-E-F. So in communication, the first one is verbal, the second one is non-verbal, and the third one is the listening, the most important communication type. As a manager, as an executive, as a teacher, you may spend more than 60% of the time for listening. The two types of people, the listeners, and there are listeners as well as there are people who hear. In this webinar also, if I am speaking, there are few people who listen. There are few people who hear. The people who listen, it is called that mechanism is called the psychophysiological movement. That means if you listen, something goes to their heart. So even after 6 o'clock, if they think about competence, they will say that no, knowledge, skill, some element is there. But here means some sound is going through this ear and some it is going out through this ear. Nothing will register. That is difference between listening and hearing. So try to listen. Try to listen to people, and that will get you respect. According to Brian Muggill, listening is the biggest respect that you can give to people. So try to listen. So if you listen to people, it is easy for you to find solutions to problems. So listen more. So verbal, non-verbal, listening. And the fourth one is called the observation. It's not just looking. If you have a tendency to observe, you will capture more information. Especially if you're sitting in front of an interview room, if you have a tendency to observe, just observe what is there in the office walls, the people, how they are walking, how they are interacting. Maybe in the world, you may notice, you observe the vision of the company. And when you enter into the interview room, the interviewer may ask you, what is the vision of our company? And because of that observation, you may have to answer. You could answer that question of vision. So that is the significance of observation. Always there should be an observation element. Good communicators use observation very well. That is the fourth element. And then comes the written communication, the fifth one. People's memory capacity is very low. After 3 hours, they start forgetting. So written or writing or documenting is very, very important. That is what in meetings, good offices, they have a practice of always carrying a pen and notepad or something with them to document so that they can retrieve the information very fast. So when we think about communication, you need to think about these basic practices, and you need to learn and execute these basic practices of verbal communication, non-verbal communication, listening, observation, and written. So this is because of lack of time, I'm rushing. Then this is the communication. I was talking about 21st century skills. This is the first one called the communication, and this is very, very important. Because of the communication gaps, because of the communication issues, there are more than 50% of the resignations are happening because of communication issues, especially with your immediate supervisor. So have a good communication system with your immediate supervisor. This is the most important thing when we think about communication. That is the first one called the communication. The second 21st century skill, if you ask me, that is, I will say it is adaptability. We talk about different types of quotients. IQ, intelligent quotient. We talk about EQ, emotional intelligent quotient. We talk about SQ, spiritual quotient. But apart from this IQ, EQ, and SQ, there is a new element called AQ, that is known as adaptability quotient. The most important 21st century skill, because we are having these setbacks every year. So we have to come back. We have to have that resilience capacity. What do you mean by resilience? It is the capacity to bounce back from stressful situation. Take an example of Indian cricket team. They came to Melbourne and defeated Australia after getting bundled out for 36. That is called resilience, ability to bounce back from stressful situation. So when we think about adaptability, I used to say to youngsters that if you want to succeed, if you want to build adaptability, you should know how to take these two elements. Which are the two elements? Now, number one, ability to accept failures. Second is ability to accept criticism. There is no one is free of failures and criticism. Because I'm worried about people who are having 100% success, because they may get first rank and gold medal from first standard onwards, and when they reach the age of 30, they may face the first failure. And if they face the first failure, they cannot accept that. They immediately go to withdrawal and then commit suicide. This is the problem of successful, 100% successful people during the most part of their early life. I like failure or people who fail, because people who fail, they know, they taste they taste the failure element, and then they learn how to bounce back. So tomorrow when there is a setback happens, these people with failures, they come back strongly. So I'm recommending people should have failures. You should taste the failure element so that you will be more bold, more stronger in your life. So number one is ability to accept failures. The second one is ability to accept criticism. Whatever you do, there is an element of criticism. Suppose if there are 10 things, If you do 9 things properly, people will come and ask what happened to that 10 element. But that criticism is always there. So the ability to accept criticism is the second thing. So it is, people used to say, students used to say me that it is very easy to say about ability to accept criticism, how it is. One of my friends shared an interesting thing. I'll tell you that. Suppose, imagine you are walking and suddenly a crow peeps or shits. In Malayalam we call that in your shirt. A crow shits in your shirt. What you will do? That is the question. What you will do when a crow shits in your shirt or in your chudar? What you will do? Normally, what we do? Normally we do not go after the crow, catch the crow, kill it and dig it, isn't it? What happens? We go and wash the shirt and then mind our business. Let the crow fly away, isn't it? The same technique that you should apply in your life also. You should take negative criticism like how you accept the shit of a crow. And if you are able to accept that, then you will succeed in your life. Because criticism and questions will come throughout your life. Because no one is comfortable at any stage of your life. That is the question. Suppose if you are getting some good marks, people say that what happened to the remaining percentage? If you get a job, then people ask, oh, you don't get a job in some other company. Then people ask why you are not married. Then if you're married, then people ask when will be your first child. Then people ask when will be your second child. Then the question comes, why are you not constructing a home? These questions will come and come and come. It goes on. Then that is what I said, that no one is comfortable at any stage of your life. You should be able to accept this negative criticism. So maybe this growth technique can be used to you, and it can be applied in your life, so that the negative criticism will vanish immediately. Recently, I saw railway general manager, a lady, a madam, who got the best employee award. She always smiles. So I asked her that, madam, you're not getting any criticism. She said, told me that, yes, definitely, daily I used to get criticism from my bosses, from my guests, from my customers, from government officials. But whenever I come out of that cabin, what I do is let it go and then smile. This is a simple thing. I take that criticism, put it in the basket, and smile. Then I think about that. Oh, is it possible? Yes, it is possible, because practice makes you better. Practice makes you perfect. No? Everything through practice you can make it perfect. So you start doing that. Maybe after 3 or 4 incidents, it will become a habit for you. So take failures, take criticism. That will make you more adaptable. That is a second 21st century skill. You heard about the suicide of Cafe Coffee owner. You heard about Susan suicide. You heard about doctor committing suicide, because they have high knowledge, they have high skill, they have high reputation, money, but they cannot adapt to the failures. And some people, they may not adapt to the criticism. That is the reason why immediate setbacks are happening in their life, and they commit suicide and end their life. So such tragic incidents should not happen. This may happen often. Criticism and failures often come in your life, especially during these tough times. So the second is adaptability quotient. The first one is communication. The second one is adaptability. Third one is your ability to understand numbers, to understand problems. So numerical skills is very, very important to survive. As I told you, technology, human touch, and financial jobs will survive, do have high scope in various forms. So these three skills may dominate in the 21st century. Number one is communication, the second is adaptability, and third one is numerical skills or numeracy. I recommend a book for you. The book's title is known as Factfulness. It is written by Rosling. It is the most recommended book about the human progress and the various skills and the various approaches, because for more than 1,000 years the world remained the same, and most of the changes and development happened in the last 200 years. So I recommend that book for you. So you can buy and read that book to know about the human progress. And another book that I recommend to you is English Errors for Indians, English Errors of Indian Students, English Errors of Indian Students, written by Smith and Pierce. That also will give you some motivation to learn English and other languages. So these two books, if you have time, please buy these books and read. Factfulness as well as English Errors of Indian Students. So maybe I'll share one slide. You have to confirm whether you can. Can you enable the screen share for me so that I can show a slide? Absolutely. Why numerical skills are required is because often the problems are coming up, and then for finding out, I told you this logical reasoning. People do have high kind of significance in the upcoming world. So I told you that one of these, the communication, and then the numerical skills and the adaptability. These three things will help you to succeed in tough times. That is what I saying that. So that numerical skills will help you to think about various solutions to a problem. So you don't worry about this. If you don't have the numerical skills, you can try and enhance that level. But if you have one of these elements, then definitely you can succeed. But the most dominating 21st century skills will be communication, adaptability, and numeracy. The scope also will be for more for that. Okay. So can someone enable? Yeah. Okay. Only two slides to you. This is the slide that this one. This is a slide that I recommend all of you to read, because this is the time that you have to utilize your term to upgrade your learnings, upgrade maximum knowledge level, so that there are plenty of online certifications available. So I request you to take the value-added certifications, which will enhance your knowledge level, which will enhance your confidence level. And tomorrow, if you are attending an interview, it will help you. So the various online platforms, the most recommended online platforms for taking various certifications are, number one is Coursera. Coursera is the most popular online platform that you will get certification, whether you are a student of maths, science, humanity, commerce. There are plenty of certifications available. These are actually the three online platforms that I recommend. edX is also. So these are the three online platforms along with edX I recommend. Then the fourth and fifth point. This is the two. One is youthhope.com. The other one is opportunities for youth.com. I request all of you to go through this website. Then there is an app for youth also. Plenty of fellowships, research opportunities, job opportunities. This is available in these two websites and apps, so that you can explore yourself. Then for making a technological aptitude to you, I recommend to go to code.org. There you can do free exercises, free games, and free puzzles related to technology, so that you can enhance your, again, the technological aptitude and the problem solving skills. So particularly I want to show this particular slide, because I request each one of you to go through this slide and visit Coursera, Khan Academy, Udemy, or edX, and find certifications and do that certification. Because the cost is, I think it is affordable, very feasible, but that kind of certifications will help you in future. Then the youthhope.com and opportunities for youth also will help you to know various opportunities across the world. Then code.org is something that will help you to sharpen your technological aptitude and problem solving skills. So this is a one slide that I want to show you. One more slide. These are the various forms through that organizations recruit people. So if you are a final year graduate, or if you are a job seeker, or if you are changing your job, you can always plan your activities based on these elements. These are the various sources that will help you to get a right opportunity. Number one is advertisement. So nowadays the companies rarely gives advertisement, and make it simple. Most of the job advertisements or employment advertisement used to come in on Wednesday newspapers. So you can primarily refer Wednesday newspapers to get the opportunities. Campus recruitment is part and parcel of where you're studying or you're learning. Third one is job portals that you can use free of cost. I recommend 3 job portals to post your resumes. Number one is www.naukri.com. Second one is monster.com, and the third one is timesjobs.com. There is a fourth one called Indeed also, that also recently is getting popular. So Naukri, TimesJobs, Monster, Indeed are the various job portals that you can use. Then the professional placement agencies, you can approach for domestic and international jobs. But when you select a placement agency, if a placement agency is asking for a 1 month salary or a huge amount as consulting fee, don't go for it. Professional placement agencies do not charge salaries from you. They charge a meaningful, only a very meager registration fee from you, maybe 100 rupees or 500 rupees. So professional placement agencies, if you ask me, there are many agencies. In India, there is an agency called ABC Consultants. There is Randstad, and there is Mafoi. These are some of the good placement agencies that you can use in India. Then comes the referral schemes. This is the most popular one nowadays employees are using. Referral scheme means we advertise the job within the work environment, and so that the employees are asked to refer good candidates from outside. So for referral scheme means, what I mean is that you have to enhance your network, you have to enhance your contact level. So whoever you are meeting, the professionals, their mobile numbers and emails should be documented. Frequent communication should be there. Then share your resume so that they will refer your resume to their respective organization, and opportunities may be realized through that. Then the last one is social media. When we think about social media, we think about Facebook and Instagram. But I'm not talking about Facebook or Instagram. The most popular professional social media platform is called LinkedIn. I request all the youngsters to start a page in LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a tool for executive presence. LinkedIn is a tool for executive presence, and request all of you to start a page in LinkedIn. And when you start a page in LinkedIn, it should look professional. Professional means even the basic minute things that you need to make it proper. Some of the simple things are, there should be a proper valid email ID with your name, not like push Raju or beauty Selena at gmail.com, not like that. There should be a proper email ID, number one. Then there should be a passport size photograph, uh, enterprising plus and photograph should be there. Then your up to date education and uh, experience details should be uploaded there in the LinkedIn page. And two things that I recommend to get in LinkedIn is, one is the testimonial of skills. Maybe your colleagues, your friends, and maybe your clients can recommend various skills as a testimonial. And that is number one that you need to add in LinkedIn page. The second one is called writing recommendation, or getting recommendation from, again, from your teachers or employees or clients. So this will add value to your LinkedIn page. And someone, or maybe as an HR or as an employer, if we verify your LinkedIn page, we can see the various recommendations and the testimonials. So it is a sense of shortlisting, and you will qualify the first round maybe through this LinkedIn page. So I request all of you to open a LinkedIn page. So these two slides I thought of showing you. One is the various resources that I showed earlier, and the second one is this sources that the various fonts that you can get it. So this is this is the various sources. Then another one is called the profile. I thought of showing a profile to you, profile template, because of lack of time not showing. Maybe during some other occasion I will show you. A profile, when we think about profile, use the term called resume, not the biodata or the profile or the curriculum vitae. The curriculum vitae may be the right term, but the most apt term is resume. Resume means summary. So good employees always want a summary resume. That means a resume should be a maximum of 2 pages. Maximum of 2 pages. If you can make it in 1 page, that is good. And the font size and the font should be similar. There should be uniform font as well as uniform font size. When you make a resume, your title size should be slightly higher in font size, and the point is slightly lower. For example, if you're using Arial, the title called the career objective, maybe a title. If you're using Arial font, the font size should be 12. Then the point should be 10. So 12 and 10 for Arial. But if you're using Times New Roman, the letter size is relatively small. There, the title size should be 14 and the point size should be 12. So Arial, it is 12 and 10. Times New Roman, it is 14 and 12. These are the minor things that you need to take care by preparing a resume. Okay. And then once your resume is cleared, then there will be aptitude test, there will be group discussion, and as well as there is an interview. Normally, there are 2 types of interviews. The one is called the functional or the technical interview, and the last is called the HR interview. So, interview, even maybe the simple interview questions I told you, yeah, more than the knowledge, more than the skill, it is the attitude that matters. For example, because of lack of time, I'm summarizing. For example, the interview board may ask you, how are you? I used to ask a question called, how are you? I used to get different answers. How are you? Somebody used to say that, fine. Someone used to say that, fine, what about you? And someone says that, thanks, I hope you are doing good. These are some of the answers I used to get. So what should be the answer to the how are you question? How are you question should be answered with a smile and say that, I am fine, thank you, sir. How are you, sir? So if you smile and politely repeat, or maybe you inquire them, then it will automatically create a rapport. between the interviewer and the interviewer. So maybe an answer to a how are you question will determine success or failure in an interview. So many questions like what are the strengths and weaknesses, what is the expected salary, then are you ready to sign an agreement. These questions are normal questions in an interview pattern. Maybe in some other occasion I will explain about all these things. So what I'm saying is that I talked about, maybe I'll summarize things. In today's talk, I talk about making basics right when you think about the new normal. Before thinking about the advanced, make your foundations right. That is the message that I want to convey. I talk about change, different types of change. I talked about various generations. I talked about opportunities. I talked about career, the 5 elements that influence the career, the aptitude, the interest, the skill, personality, and surroundings. Then I talked about 2 types of skills, the hard skill and the soft skill. Then I talked about the 21st century skills, the major 21st century skills to pick communication, adaptability quotient, and the numeracy skills. And you have to try to sharpen these skills so that you will get enough opportunities and you will succeed. Then I talked about the various resources that you can use, the various sources that you can use for employment. I briefed about how to write a resume and the various general questions that come in an interview. So get ready for that. Don't fear about the things that will happen, because what is happiness is a question. Is it the number of marks you are getting? Is it the rank or gold medal, job title? Is it that is giving happiness? No. Happiness is actually your ability to enjoy the present moment. How many of you are able to enjoy the present moment? That is a big question. Even if we are speaking now, we are worried about the past and apprehensive about the future, isn't it? If you are able to enjoy the present, then you will taste happiness, you will taste success. So to summarize, all the employers are looking for people with polite mannerisms, refined knowledge, and capable linguistic skills. So polite mannerisms, refined knowledge, and capable linguistic skills are the need of the hour. So improve your communication skill, adapt to different environments, and then think about how to solve a problem in different situations, so that you can empower yourself. So use maximum opportunities, use maximum resources, use maximum courses, and rather than worrying about getting into a post, getting into a title, making money, try to be a good human being. If you do small things, you will get big things. That is what I want to say. So do small things that will get you big. That is the one thing that I want to say. I'll summarize the quote by saying an APG Abdul Kalam quote. Yesterday was the newspaper. Today is a newspaper. Tomorrow is a question paper. So read today's newspaper and get ready to answer tomorrow's questions. So thank you. Because of limited time, I was not able to express many of the concepts. Maybe in some other occasion, I'll talk about interview skills, the interview scenarios that will help the upcoming job seekers and job aspects. I wish each one of you all the very best in your life. Be a good human being. That is what I want to say. And I thank AIMRI team for inviting me for this talk. I hope that some of these elements are in your mind and you will think about it and use it in your life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that interesting and informative session. Dr. Ajith, I'm sure that our participants must have loved it. Thank you once again, sir. So with this, we have come to the end of our AIMRI webinar. We shall see you next time. Till then, stay safe and stay motivated. Thank you so much, sir.